welcome to the Hell Has an Exit podcast. I'm your host, Bryan Alzate. This show is not affiliated with any specific 12-step program. If you or a loved one is struggling with an addiction, please find a local 12-step meeting. If you believe you may need detox or drug treatment of any kind, please call 833-999-1877 to speak to a specialist. The show is sponsored by United Recovery Project, a state-of-the-art drug and alcohol rehab facility. You can visit our website at unitedrecoveryproject.com. All right. Hey, welcome to Hell Has an Exit. I'm your host, Bryan Alzate. On this show, we interview a lot of different types of people, mainly a lot of recovering addicts. I have my boy Zule on the show.
What up, what up?
If you guys can, like, subscribe on YouTube. If you have Apple Podcasts, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere that podcasts play, we are on there. So tell a friend to tell a friend if you want to support the show. You know, text it to, your family group chat, whatever you can. More people listening, the more people we could help out and give some hope to. So it's so funny because I haven't done 75 hard in probably almost a year. I didn't want to do it because I was just like so over it. Because when you fail, I failed so many times at doing it that I was just like, fuck 75 hard. Like I was just like over it. I don't know what happened, but honestly, it's like the only thing that's ever got me in really good shape.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I've gone to the gym, ate healthy, thought I was trying my hardest. And it's like, bro, I still weigh the same thing. 75 hard is the only thing that has ever really got me super lean and like in sick shape.
Yeah, man. It's crazy that, I barely see you.
Yeah.
And then I come over here to do an episode with you, and then all of a sudden we're talking about 75 hard, looking at some books and so forth. I'm like, yo, I just tried doing it, Wow. I got like 32 days in and
That's a lot though. 32 days is crazy, right?
Man, it's crazy, dude.
Doesn't it feel wild? Like when you're in your groove, you just feel like there's no other feeling than being like really into 75
The mental
hard.
toughness is what he talks about, and that, what I got off on, it was basically telling people that I was doing this and they're like, oh, what does it, what do you have to do? I'm like, oh, you got to drink a gallon of water a day. Oh, easy, no problem.
People are like, oh, that's easy.
I'm like, yeah, do you really drink a gallon of water per day? I don't think so.
Try it.
Read 10 pages for a nonfiction book, which that was never consistent for me. I would read a little bit throughout the year.
Yeah,
but,
read a little bit here and there, whatever, audiobooks.
Yeah.
But to sit down and physically read every single day, to do anything every single day is hard.
Consistency is key, right? We always say that. It's so easy to say that and then not do it.
Whenever everybody's
consistent.
Like, oh, it's so easy.
Everybody's consistent at the beginning of the year. For me, it's always trying to be consistent 365 days of the year
round.
But yeah, 75 hard, I probably felt the best that I've ever felt. Yeah. Like when I was doing it. The water was a huge thing, staying hydrated, the diet, just no sweets for me. No fried food.
Zero. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect. And then reading was a big thing for me because that's always been a goal of mine to be able to read a book, cover to cover all the way, but discipline, not like, oh, read 2 pages here, 3 pages here, like, just read for 15, 20 minutes, so it's like, it's crazy.
Are you a gun guy too?
I have one.
Okay.
Yeah, I have one Ruger 9mm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I was just wondering.
Enough to protect, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why, because of the hat?
I saw the hat.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
Shout out to Black Rifle Company.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
It's my favorite coffee shop when I go to Tennessee.
Yeah, 75 hard is no joke, bro. I think, but yeah, traveling and doing 75 hard is insane. I did it when I went to Colorado, and I used to always say, like, who the fuck can eat good on vacation? And I proved to myself that it was possible. But then when I went to Cancun, man, I couldn't do it. I fucked up and ate pizza and tacos. It was so crazy. And then when you fail, you just say, like, it is like relapsing.
It felt just like a relapse.
Like,
I was driving
you went
across
off the deep end?
Yeah, I went off the deep end. No, it wasn't the deep end. Like right off the bat, it probably took a couple of days, and then
just like a relapse.
And then just like a relapse. Like, oh, I messed up one time, and then I just kept going. I still worked out again because I said, let me just kind of keep something consistent, and I realized that I want like a Nutella crepe or something like that. So I had one of those, and then since then it's been off the chain. Then the holidays, and then Christmas came up and all that. So it's like, it's so hard to keep it consistent, I'm going to start up again though.
Yeah, sure. I'm on, this is day 1 for me. I still have to finish my 10 pages, and I probably need to drink like 3 more bottles of water. How hard is it to drink the bottles of water? Because you just pee like crazy, bro.
What I would do is I just buy the gallon of water, and I just buy like, let's say 7 for the week.
You buy 7 gallons of water?
Yeah, 7 gallons. And then if I go out, of the office or something, then I just fill up the water bottle. But no matter what, I keep a measurement based on the bottle. So I see going half. If I'm halfway by like 1 p.m. Or like a little bit more than halfway, then I know I'm good.
Yeah.
Then I don't have to be chugging water at the end of the night.
Because like I'm like driving in a car or whatever, and it's like
you gotta take 1,000 pisses.
You gotta pee like every 2 seconds.
So annoying.
So sometimes I'll drink a bottle before I go to the gym. I'll drink one at the gym. I'll drink like one on the way home. I've already got 3 down there, so I only have to drink 5 more throughout the day. But sometimes I'm like, fuck, I'm just not gonna drink water until like I get home because like I just drink 4 bottles
that's
at my
another
house.
thing. Yeah, especially for people that drive, if they drive around a lot,
it's so hard.
I don't know how they
piss in bottles.
Yeah, for sure.
There's no
for
way.
Sure.
You're
like
pulling over every 2 seconds.
It was like pissing, like, another piss. It's like so annoying. Yeah. But I think
Did you join the Facebook group?
No, I didn't.
The Facebook group was cool because you would see like pregnant women pushing their children on sleds in like the dead of winter in Michigan. And you'd be like, wow, this bitch is badass, you know? So you would get inspired by seeing like so many different people doing 75 hard. But
I saw a dude with a shirt like at the airport, 75 hard. And I wanted to go like chop it up with him. Like, hey, you 75 hard?
Yeah, it's definitely, I got so many people to do it. I probably got like 20 people to do it.
Yeah, we had a group chat going.
Yeah, I had a group chat going.
And then like everybody was like, but why do you have, like, start questioning stuff? I just left the group. I was like, all right, like these people they aren't ready. You know, it's like until you're ready, you're willing to, like, you're willing to listen.
But, why does it have to be a nonfiction book?
1 gallon of water is not healthy.
Yeah, like, that's like too much water. Why does it have to be outside? My garage is like outside. Yeah, people that are listening. So we're talking about 75 hard, which is a challenge that Andy Frisella came up with. You can Google Andy Frisella 75 Hard podcast, and he explains the entire challenge. Basically, for 75 days, you have to drink a gallon of water, read 10 pages out of a nonfiction book, take a before and after picture, work out twice a day for 45 minutes at least. One needs to be outside. That's it, right? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And there's an app you could download. It's definitely a difficult, life-changing challenge. I've never even completed it. I've done it like 4 or 5 times. But even just attempting it, something that...
It's a mental thing. Yeah. It's like you're telling yourself, hey, look, I'm going to do this. And this requires you to be consistent every single day. So if you can do it with that, imagine what you can do.
And being honest with yourself. There's so many times where I would fail and be like...
Nobody would know.
Nobody would know. It was just the picture, you know?
Like when I used drugs and my mom would never know. My mom would never know. Poor mom.
It's just weed, whatever.
Yeah.
So...
laced with coke.
Yes. I never wasted my coke like that,
I
but
did.
Some people did. So I actually don't know your whole story. So you're one of the first people, not one of the first, but I think I specifically remember going out to eat with a bunch of people and someone pointing at you and being like, oh, that's, Zule, he's got such and such years clean. And you were young. And I remember being like, wow, it's cool that there's like, at that place that we went to go eat, there was like multiple young people with years clean, and it was just cool to see that. So you've been clean for 12 years. You got clean at 21.
Yep.
Born and raised in Miami?
Born and raised in Miami, County of Dade.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy that you talk about like when we went out to eat, because I'm like, how did I end up in Broward so early on with people? Like, who are those people? Are there anyone around other than you and me? It's like time just flies by, when you're clean, not when you're getting high.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got clean at 21. Like, I don't know if you want me to get into my story and so forth.
Where'd you start using? What was childhood like?
Yeah, man. So, shout out to your podcast, man.
Hell has an exit.
Hell has an exit. It's definitely very difficult for a podcast and so forth. So, I respect that a lot.
Thank you.
I know
it's about being consistent.
Yeah, it's about being consistent. I know we started one A to Z FBC, but it's been very difficult to keep up with the content and so forth. So, I know anyone trying to do this, like, cut Bryan a break. You know what I'm saying? He's doing his best. That's what matters. At least he's doing it. I got 3 sisters. Grew up in Miami. My dad's Pakistani. My mom's Cuban. It's a very odd mix. Everything was pretty cool, bro. Baseball, a lot of sports. Growing up, grandparents, tight family niche, and we just did our thing. You asked me earlier, to share your story and so forth. And for me, I was like, man, I don't remember the last time I kind of shared
the whole thing.
So I was thinking about certain things like on the way up. Like a lot of us or a lot of stories I've heard is that people feel like insecure growing up. And I think it happens like around like 8, 9, 10 years old when you start noticing things and you start seeing how your family, the type of car that my dad was driving to school and seeing other kids and what cars they were in. In the beginning, I blamed my addiction and my craziness on my parents. But, as you get older, you realize that they just did the best with what they got, you know, at least for me. I started using around 11 years old. Remember, smoked my first cigarette, stole it from my grandma, and got caught. So I was already not going to be a good addict.
Not good addict.
Yeah. So I got caught real early. But I always loved like the lying, cheating, manipulating, getting my way, being spoiled.
Did you get like influence from like older kids, or you were just like you did it like unprovoked?
I probably wanted to fit in for sure. Like I think a part of me is still to this day. I want to be. I want to fit in. I just know that I know my worth. So I don't have to like step to certain boundaries or get taken advantage of anymore. But that's the blessing of being clean and being in recovery. But at least growing up, when you don't have that type of conversation with your parents about like insecurities and how you're feeling, it's just weird, and then seeing kids in the neighborhood like doing bad things and smoking weed, you're like, oh, I want to try that, and
mischief.
Yeah, like anything else, everything starts off by having fun. Everything was about having fun, skateboarding and just freaking hitting up downtown and getting arrested at FIU and the security chasing us down and jumping into the lake. Like, who cares? It didn't really matter because I was still going to go to school. I didn't have no bills to pay, so it didn't really matter.
And like, I had this like feeling as a kid, like, we're kids, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, like there was other kids that like I grew up with that were like, oh, we're going to get in trouble. And I would just be like, we're young. Like, I just had this idea that like nothing's going to happen,
That's what happened, I think for me, like around 12, I started smoking more. And then like I really wanted to do it like all the time. And I would skip class and then skip school. And then it just kind of progressed, because like for me, we always kind of like bounced around like neighborhoods. We moved from like one neighborhood to the next. So like I always switched schools. So, for me, I never had like that. I don't have friends from elementary school. I don't have that anymore. Like, not that I'm like, wow, my life would be much better with that. But I'm just saying that I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah.
So when I got to high school, my parents were going through a divorce, and it was like an ugly divorce. I don't know any better. I just know I have two little sisters that I have to look after. Like, and I think my dad's the enemy because my mom said he was. So I just had to listen to like what my mom was saying, And again, like my mom, she did the best with what she knew or like the knowledge she had at that time to how to raise kids. So it's not like her fault, because it's like there's no manual to it. You try your best with what you have, But like my grandfather's an alcoholic, my aunt's an alcoholic, my mom's an addict. When they divorced, she just went off the deep end, and that's when I decided to go off the deep end. And
what was she using?
She was just using pills. That was her thing, and I just started being crazy. I remember getting sent to like around 13, 14. I got arrested. We moved to the trailer parks in Miami. So, because my mom didn't have a job, she ran out of money. We had nowhere to go. So we moved into the trailer parks, and I remember I got caught with a half ounce of weed, some bags, and a scale, So I
what was going on there?
Yeah, I just had it. My mom was like, she's the one that called the cops on me because she couldn't stop me. I was just out of control.
Yeah. She called the cops on you?
Because she couldn't, she didn't have the resources to like help me, like what do you do when your kids are just acting foolish and
off the chain
and using drugs, especially if they're not going to listen, So I can only imagine the amount of parents out there that don't know about recovery or don't know about the process or addiction in general. It's just like, at least my friends now in recovery, if they have kids and they go through, at least they know that, all right, let's take them to detox. All right, let's take them to treatment, and just try, but she didn't know. So I got put into the juvenile system real early. I came out on house arrest. I remember going to school. I thought it was cool being on house arrest and getting in a fight on house arrest and just getting sent to my grandparents' house. My grandparents have always been there for me. Like they, my grandma was always like enabled me and always took me in no matter what. Like, like she didn't care. Like I could have killed someone and she would have been like, he's not guilty. Like 100%. Around 14, I got sent to a place called JARF. I don't know if you heard of it. It's in Miami.
I think we have like the same thing. It's like Jiffy or whatever.
It's like a detox, but like for juveniles.
Oh, okay.
It's like in the Jackson system. I don't know if it's even still around anymore. I don't even want to look it up, honestly. And I remember going there.
What were you using?
At this time, I was just doing coke and weed.
Okay.
Yeah. and drinking. And I got sent to this detox center, but it was just more like, we need to get him off the street and he needs like help. And so we need to put him away somewhere. And I remember coming out, I knew that, I didn't know at that time, but I know now that what I was going through was much deeper than just a phase, because I always thought it was just a phase, you know? And I remember coming out and trying to commit suicide, you know? And I was really trying to commit suicide because I wanted the attention. Like, I didn't know that when I died, I just died, you know? Like, and then, like, I'm not, you know, who knows what would happen after. My sister walked in and caught me trying to commit suicide. So here it is, another chance that I get to live life, you know? And my story has a lot of suicide attempts. That's always been a fantasy of mine.
Wow.
Like a very dark place. That's where I go. The darkest places that I go is to like just want to kill myself. You know, I don't want to live. You know, that's what happens when I use drugs. You know, like, I don't want to live. I just want to die. So we just progressed, man, and I got into taking Xanax, and that's where everything kind of shifted for me.
How old were you?
At this time, I was like 15.
Wow, okay.
So I kept getting arrested, stealing purses, stealing cars, stealing my grandfather's car, you know, whatever I can get my hands on, taking credit cards, just like really, you know, robbing old ladies. I've been there, you know, I've done that. And I'm not happy about that. I'm not proud of that. You know, I kept using drugs because I just wanted to fit in. I wanted to hang around people. At this point, I was with older people and hanging out with them.
Were you like partying and stuff, or just like fucking around?
Yeah, you know, I partied, but it always ended up with an all-nighter, you know? Like, the sun always came out, you know, and we're always trying to figure out the next one, you know? So I always share that it's never about the one I have. It's always about the one I don't have, you know? And that goes with anything now in recovery, you know? It's like, I'm never really concerned about the one travel trip I'm going. I'm thinking about the 5 other travel trips.
Next one, huh?
Yeah. I'm on a trip.
You travel a lot?
I love to travel.
Really?
Yeah, I love to travel. I just came back from last year. I just went on like a 2.5 week trip to Portugal by myself.
By yourself?
Yeah.
Portugal by yourself?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
What else have you been?
Colombia a whole bunch of times, Costa Rica, Alaska.
Colombia's dope?
Yeah.
I'm half Colombia. I've never been.
Oh, no, you got to go,
What part do you go to?
Medellin or Cartagena. Yeah. So
you go solo over there?
No, I haven't gone solo there.
Okay.
Portugal was my first solo trip. That was a dream come true for me because I was like, can I do a trip by myself? When you start traveling and you get clean, you just never think that you can do these things. And that's kind of like the dreams that like start to come about. Like, as
what'd you do out there?
Bro, I stayed in Lisbon in a hostel, which was crazy. I got out of there like after
You
like
thought you were gonna get killed?
Nah, it was just like a
Dirty?
party. Like,
it was a party
scene? It was just like party.
Okay.
It was just a lot of people in and out, you know, traveling and like bouncing around. People are traveling, you know, hopping around all of Europe.
Backpackers.
So, yeah. So it's like a crazy vibe, you know? So it's like after a while, it's like, okay, I need my peace. I'm gonna get an Airbnb with the most beautiful view, please, you know? Yeah, I went to visit like all the museums. I went to the beaches. I went all around the city. I actually made a travel vlog. That was like my first full-on travel vlog that I did. So that like opened up a whole addiction of like, all right, I gotta, because I love traveling.
Yeah, so now you gotta travel more to do more vlogs.
Yeah.
How many places do you travel to? Like 40 or like 50?
I don't know, probably like 30.
30?
Yeah.
Okay. What's like your favorite place you've been to?
Alaska.
Alaska?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. That was a cool trip. But Portugal was also
What
up
time
there
of year
too.
did you go?
August, September.
Okay.
The best time to go is like right when school gets right back in. Like not July, because that's when school's out. So like it's flooded with kids.
Yeah.
You know, and the prices are like triple.
Wow.
So yeah, Alaska's like unreal.
That's
like,
dope.
Like you're just looking at everything, like glaciers just breaking in front of you, seeing gigantic waterfalls. Like this actually exists in real life. Like people don't understand like these things actually exist, and they don't cost that much money. You just gotta save up a little bit
and go
and like not go to Disney World. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think people should travel much more. It'll open their eyes up to like different cultures.
I never travel.
No?
No, I went to Hawaii recently. 'Cause, like my business partners like really like egged me on to go. It was dope. Like, you know, we saw like the Jurassic Park waterfalls like from Jurassic Park. It was so
in the
sick.
helicopter.
Yeah, in the helicopter. The guy played the Jurassic Park. I was like, well, can you play the Jurassic Park music? He was like, yeah. I was like, this is so sick. It was like the coolest thing ever. My goal is like next year is like to travel and do like travel vlogs. Like 2024, 23 to just like dedicate all my time to traveling.
Well, one of my goals actually, it's written down and it's like in my office, like planted on the wall. It's to move to Bali this year.
You want to move there?
Yeah.
Oh, you're crazy.
Yeah, I know it sounds crazy.
Why Bali? Have you been?
No, no.
Wow.
It's just like wild. Just
Why?
like saying it. I follow this guy named LeBlanc, Lost in LeBlanc. It's on YouTube, and I watched his first YouTube video, and I was like, I want to do what this guy's doing.
What does he do?
And
Travel
he was an
vlogs?
accountant. He was an accountant. Yeah. He was an accountant in Canada, and he was making like $200,000 a year or something like that. And then he was just miserable, and he just wasn't happy. He just wanted to. He knew he wanted to do something else, and he just left. He saved up money, and he just went to Bali. Like he took a GoPro, and he just like was like, all right, let me just figure it out. And
Does he have a bunch of subscribers now?
Yeah, he's killing
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
dude's like next level. He has a team of like 20 people. He's made like this travel challenge game that you travel
Really?
and like you're, I don't know, it's a race. It's a race now. And he's like elevating and whole other level. And then he has like
What do you mean a race?
he's making a race in different countries and like you can like sign up to win like 10 grand.
Like a foot race?
Yeah, like a foot race for
Okay.
like getting to like different locations.
Different
Kind of like
location. Like a scavenger hunt.
yeah, kind of in a way.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's doing that. Then he has a course that sets you up on like how to create travel. Like I know how to create videos and I know how to edit videos and I know how to create like action-packed videos. So I already know
How to do it.
how to do it at some
You just got to travel.
I just got to travel. I just got to get out of there.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just
You're going to bring a girl with you?
no.
No, you're just going to meet a girl out there?
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Probably not a U.S. citizen,
Yeah,
you know?
probably
Who
not a
knows?
US citizen.
Probably, probably someone that can help me get my visa extended for another like
sure.
30, 60 days. As long as you know someone there, they can sign off on your visa and you can
Okay.
stay for like an extra like 60 days. If not, what they do is like every 30
Yeah, 'cause
days.
that's so confusing to me is like how people travel and like how long you could stay somewhere and like that's crazy.
Yeah, you travel for 30 days and then you just leave. You leave for one day. You leave the country and you come back in and
Wow.
you stay for another 30 days.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
so stupid.
it's crazy. And then you could work remotely. There's like it's like so many people that live there that are doing this remotely. That's unreal. It's like a whole community of people
Wow.
like living out that spiritual life out there. It's
Yeah.
it's insane. So and then
that's
you're like
what you're
so
gonna do.
and you're so close to so many other countries to go travel and create content. You know,
Yeah.
so it's like all right, it's a perfect place to be. But I tell
Maybe
people
I'll go with you. When are you going?
let's ride September.
September? All right.
30 days.
30 days. No
Ain't gonna
big
hurt
deal.
you. You're working for your computer. you got a strong team that can help you.
Yeah. That's so wild. All right, so let's go back to the story. Okay, so you're on Xanax, suicidal,
Yeah, then I get to treatment at like around 17.
first time.
First
going to
time.
treatment. What was treatment like?
I was like in a nonprofit treatment center, government funded,
Shithole.
county. Yeah.
Did you think it was a shithole? Because when
I actually think about it now, I'm like, nah, it was actually pretty good.
yeah,
You know?
because I went to a county-run place and I thought it was fine when I was there.
Yeah, like I didn't get beat up. Like I thought I was. Like, there was enough like security. Like at that time, you're like 17. You're like,
Yeah.
oh my God, these people look gigantic. I'm 105
Oh my God.
pounds. The reason I went to treatment was because I got caught on another run. Well, right before that, I was really bad on Xanax. I was like taking like 5 to 10 Xanax per day. And just like
You do the French fries or the skateboards?
skateboards and French fries.
Both together.
GG 249s.
What's the difference?
I don't know. When you're taking so many, it doesn't even fucking matter
just
anymore.
whatever.
Yeah, it's just whatever. I don't even know if some of them worked or not. Like I'm like they're probably laced.
Remember the football ones? The blue football ones? You remember those?
No, the
They had
yellow
blue
ones,
football ones, and then they had the ones that looked just like Roxy's.
I don't remember those. I just remember the French fries, like the time
Yeah.
release one. These time release. I'm like, I don't care. I'll take that.
You're gonna eat
I'll
'em.
take Seroquel. Just give me those two.
Eat them or snort them?
I would eat them.
Eat them? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
hit you the same.
Yeah.
I'm so dumb. I would a couple times when I did Xanax, like I wanted to hit me faster, so we would like parachute them, where like you crush it up and like
Put in a
like
little
tissue,
Yeah,
like a tissue.
that made no sense to me.
It would open in my throat and just like you die. For, like the taste
Oh,
is the
man.
worst taste ever. Yeah, that was the
It
worst.
sounds
I was
funny
so
now,
dumb.
but it's really
Back
not.
then, I
Yeah,
was
it's like yeah.
we're gonna parachute. It's gonna hit us.
You know
harder.
the funny part about it is like I was like the only one doing it out
Me
of the group
too,
of
no
people.
one-
It was like people
people
just pop it and they're like,
ate 'em.
"Yeah, we're going home now." like, come on, we gotta get the Coke now. We gotta stay up.
Yeah.
Because that was like my thing was like the
Xanax and
the
Coke.
I had to like it had to go hand in hand. Like it didn't like people did Coke and like drink.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to do that. Like I
Yeah.
didn't care about weed. At that
Yeah.
point, weed was like
I was
I'm
the
already
same way. I never smoked weed after
yeah,
like
yeah. I'm
ninth
already
grade.
not talking to my dad. Like my mom is like can't control me. She's dealing with her depression and dealing with her shit. And my sisters, I gave up on them, not helping them. Just me, just self-centered. People don't understand me. People don't care about me. People don't want me. You know, having that whole program set up in my
that
brain.
Victim mentality.
It was a program. I created this story, you know, and I lived by that story that I was less than, I wasn't good enough, I would never be anything. Even though everybody always told me, yo, you have so much potential. Potential. I hate that word, you know? And I'm like, you don't understand. Like no one understood, you know? So it was Cinco de Mayo, you know, May 5th. And it was like right before that, I went to a wedding for a cousin with my dad in Boston. I remember I got sick in Boston. I started throwing up after 3-4 days. I didn't realize that I was like detoxing. Like, I didn't know.
The Xanax.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't even know that was a thing, you know, because I had no knowledge, you know. I was just, just got a stomach virus. That's all I thought. And I remember I got back. I was about to like start my run again. And we went to a gas station and we all got arrested at the gas station by some detectives.
For what?
Bro, we were just acting a fool outside of like this one gas station that, you know, that one gas station in your neighborhood, that you're always like buying shit from and like stealing from. Like we were there, they came in, we had a whole bunch. So I didn't even get high. I got caught and we all went to jail. When I came out, I went on a run and then my PO was crazy. Her name's Margaret. I'm not going to say her last name, but she grew up with my dad in high school.
Wow.
When I went to see her as my probation officer, she's like, they were like really, really good friends. So she always had like that thing with me, like, I want you to make it. Like, I want you to get there. And I didn't know what get there was. So I always got in trouble. And she's like, hey, I got to send you to treatment. Like, you have to go to treatment or you're just going to go to you're going to juvie for like a year. I'm like, all right, I'll go to treatment. So I went to treatment and I remember running into this one dude that I ran into at JARF. That
juvenile detox.
That detox at like 15. He was a 17, and I asked him like what he was in there for. He's like, I got caught with smoking crack or whatever. And Jarf, I'm thinking, dude, this guy's crazy. Like he's a criminal, right? I didn't know any better. But now I'm in treatment, and I run into him like, yo, were you in Jarf? He's like, yeah, now I'm doing heroin. And I'm like, wow, like so he's progressing. And
yeah, it's always interesting when you like young and like you get arrested and like you start to see the same people. You start to see the same people in the same circle that you're in at different stages. Because I remember like being in court and running into people I know who also have court dates. And my dad being like, how do you know people here? Like, what's the matter with you?
Shouldn't know.
Like, you shouldn't. Like, how'd you run into 3 of your friends at the courthouse, you know? And then you're like on probation, and then you're the probation officer, and you start to like see people you know, and then it's just like you're at the pain clinic.
Community service hours. You're like for smoking weed at a community service.
Weed with like 3 of your boys or whatever. And yeah, it's just crazy how like the people that are doing the same thing attract the same thing.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, you know, you got to attract to that. It's like when you need clean piss, you have to like buy it from someone because you don't know anybody that's clean anymore.
I used to buy it off my neighbor.
You know? Man, I used to buy clean piss, fucking use, and then forget the clean piss and still go piss. Just for like, I'm going to come out clean because I only used today. I didn't use yesterday. Or, you know, I'll come up with these methods, you know? Like I always had these different strategies, you know?
Yeah.
And like if I just had put that effort into like my life and getting better, I think I'd be like freaking a multimillionaire by now, you know? But yeah, you know, so I came out of treatment. I met people and I became friends with people in treatment. We're like, all right, we're going to do this treatment thing. We're gonna do this, you know. And I got introduced to
like stay clean.
Yeah. Okay. Like, but I mean, our intentions weren't there. To go back a little bit, I got really into like ecstasy and then mushrooms and tabs and all that. So I got like really mentally invested into that. So like my days and months and weeks didn't like they were just all confusing, and I was like lost in that world. My brother-in-law at that time, my sister was married to. He was clean, you know, he was clean. He was in recovery. He was in a 12-step program. He had like 3 years because he had done a couple years in the Keys. I remember when I was in treatment, they brought in meetings, a 12-step meeting. When I would leave, I would have to go get a paper sign at a meeting, you know, and then come back. And I remember my brother-in-law used to take me. So I had that like foundation, that introduction, like really early on.
Of meetings.
Yeah. So then I kept hanging out with these people from the treatment center. And then we relapsed. And we're like, all right, let's just, like, these guys were like on probation heavy. Like if they got arrested, they're doing 5 years minimum. Like we're just acting the fool. Ultra was coming around the corner.
Oh my God.
I got into
that's so funny growing up in South Florida, and like Ultra just happens every year. And like, it's always like a part of like the scene or whatever.
Like, yeah, like I went to Ultra. I remember like
I've never been.
My first Ultra was a party. And then like, the second one was like half a party. And then like the third one, like around this time frame, actually after treatment. So I came out of treatment, I relapsed with these people. Ultra was around the corner. We were like, all right, let's go sell drugs in South Beach. I got in a crazy hit and run accident. I won't give much details on that, but because I don't know what would happen, but it was pretty bad. And addiction for me is this right here. I got in a really bad accident. I'm with two criminals, including myself, in the car. One's like almost licking the window because he's so high. We have a whole bunch of drugs in the car. Get in this car accident. Instead of just going home, the car has lost a bumper, lost the front headlights. It's like shouldn't be driven at all. I decided to like, let's get to the beach. Because I didn't want the party to be over. Like I didn't want to deal with the consequences. I wanted to just continue getting high, no matter the consequences. And for me, whenever I do something knowing the consequences, like, and I continue to do it, that's insanity for me, because, consequences is what's got me here, so it's got me to this podcast, basically. I came out of treatment, I went through that whole, accident, then I got that cleaned up. And then after that, I remember all my friends started disappearing, all the people that I was hanging out with, because they started moving on. They got a job. They started working. I gotta go to sleep early. I gotta wake up for my job. I'm like, well, okay, I guess I'll get a job too. But I never lasted longer than a month. I met this chick, and this is like where like things really progressed. I met this chick. She wasn't doing she liked Xanax, but she wasn't doing it. I stopped taking Xanax. I was like, all right, I gotta clean myself up a little bit. I got myself a little job. Met this girl. We just drank, smoked weed, partied, clubbed, whatever. Then we're like, hey, let's just take a Xanax. Let's take one. And then we take one. And then we take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now I'm quitting my job because I want to be a drug dealer, but I'm using all the drugs. So like I'm unsuccessful with that. Now I lost my job. Ultra comes around. I'm leaving Ultra early because I don't want to share my drugs with other people. I have no more money. I'm taking a taxi back to my grandparents to get off the car, all high as hell. My eyes like coming out of my face, and asking them for money to get to like my next spot. That's where it takes me. I wanted to be alone. I didn't want to be with people. I didn't want to share with people. Like I just didn't want to exist. I wanted to come out at night and just not be available throughout the day. It progressed really bad in that house that we lived. Like we lived with her cousins. And that's where like the downfall started to happen right there, because the drugs wasn't enough, stealing wasn't enough. And I remember going up to Tallahassee. I had a friend that was going to school over there. And I was like, all right, let's go party over there. Like I had always like this idea of like, let's party, but we always partied inside the house looking through the blinds. Like it never happened. Like let me go to South Beach. Like we never crossed the bridge. Like we never got to the other side because we were just tweaking too hard to like drive. So we always stayed like in a 5-mile radius of our neighborhood. That's why traveling is so important to me today. Because it's like, I can do this. I can do it alone. That's crazy to me. Like, and clean. Like,
for sure.
That's unreal. Like when you go to Colorado, you're like, you take it for granted because we kind of do it a lot, so it's like, whatever, it's just another trip, but like every little opportunity that I have for sure in recovery is a blessing.
Like even when you do it clean, it's like, it doesn't even like occur to me like, oh, I should be using, but like when I first got clean, I'm like, man, if I go to Colorado, I'm going to want to like smoke weed, even though I don't even like weed. Or like, I always say like, when I got clean, I had like this fantasy of going to Amsterdam to like smoke weed. And like, nah, like I don't even care,
And you can still do it and not do it, Like it's not,
can still go to Amsterdam.
No, it's in Colorado. It's in Denver. It's out there, It's really available. It's actually crazy. I read an article today. There's a bar in Denver called Awake. It's called Awake Coffee Shop and Bar. So in the day, it's a coffee shop. At the night, it's a bar, but they don't serve alcoholic beverages.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a sobriety
bar.
Cool.
That's cool.
And it's based on like, she's a doctor. I heard they have one
in Miami. I heard they have like a sober nightclub in Miami.
Bro, I didn't know.
Yeah, someone was telling me about it.
Yeah, I'm not big into nightclubs, but just the idea of like having a coffee shop and like a
nightclub,
like a little club thing, a lounge, because you want to sometimes hang out in some places, and I don't mind being around it, but if it's somewhere that's like everybody knows that there's no alcohol, that's pretty dope. Cool. Someone there is like at least awakened a little bit,
of course,
in a way to like, hey, I want to have a conversation with you, and we don't have to be intoxicated to have that conversation, like most chicks, So I was like with this girl, and like we went to Tallahassee. For me, man, like the darkest place I was at was there, because the drugs was like running out. I was coming to. I just hated myself every single second. You know, I harmed my whole family because, you know, the ones that we affect the most is our family. You know, like my mom, my dad, like they didn't know what I was up to. They didn't know where I was at. My mom can call me right now. I can have an hour conversation with her. My dad knows where I'm at. He can come over to my apartment whenever he wants. You know, like it's so consistent now, you know?
For sure.
You know, and I got in a fight with this girl and I got my boy's dog leash. He left. He was working at Blockbuster. You remember Blockbuster?
Of course.
He was like, yo, I got to go to work. Just here's my house and just like chill. And I'll come back later and whatever. We'll keep doing what we're doing. I got in a fight with this girl. Again, I needed attention. I don't know who I was. I hated myself, insecure, lost. All these things are just coming to my brain. And I grabbed his dog leash and I went and hung myself in his backyard.
Oh my God.
Yeah, on a fence. And she tried to like pick me up and she couldn't. And she couldn't get me up. And she couldn't. And this dude forgot his wallet. He forgot his wallet.
And he
came back. He drove back. Because I did it right when he took off. And he came back. And he
lifted you up? Oh my God.
And I woke up in a bathtub and I woke up on the floor and I was like, he's like, yo, when I came to, like, he's like, I'm going to work when I come back. When he came back, he's like, yo, you got to pack your shit and leave. They didn't want to deal with it. He's like, dude, my dad rents this under his name. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You're a liability right now at this point. Come to find out, like, I have 2 herniated discs, bulging disc on my neck. I didn't know.
That?
Yeah, from that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And that happened like when I was like 18, 19. Like, well, yeah, like 19, like around 18, 19, that happened. I just came back and then, you know, I had an overdose on Xanax. So it was just like really, that year was like really a blur. Like, you know, people jumping me, you know, just like crazy nonsense, things happening that like are only happening because of what I'm involved in, you know? I remember overdosing.
When you're using, you just think it's like constant bad luck.
Yeah, you just think it's a phase, but like the phase is like, I can't blame it on the divorce. My parents divorced when I was 13. Like I'm
What's
already
going on now?
I'm already 18. Like there's no excuses. I don't live with them. I'm on my own. And I remember like I overdosed and they took me to the hospital, Kendall Regional in Miami. And I remember, bro, like my godfather was the one that pumped my stomach with the charcoal and everything.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was a nurse on duty and he doesn't even work there.
Wow.
He worked at like the Hialeah hospital. He just had this 1-day shift at a different hospital because they called him and needed help over there. And he happened to be there when I was the one coming in.
Oh my God.
Like for me, here it is, like more shame. Like, wow, you know, this is who I am. Like I'm not the son that my dad wanted me to be. You know, I'm not the son that my mom wanted me to be. I'm not like the grandson that was supposed to be a star, you know, the only grandson. You know, here I am just using drugs and just tearing my life apart, you know. And I remember I came to and still I wanted a cigarette. So I just like left with the IVs in my hooked in my, you know, just the insanity. Like, who's this kid walking down Burr Road under the turnpike to find a cigarette and then realizing I'm not going to find a cigarette and a lighter, you know? Like I would have to like really find this thing. And yeah, man. And that was like the end and the beginning of like where hell was at, you know, that was hell for me, you know, and that's like, nobody wanted anything to do with me, like nothing. You know, the girl finally broke up with me. Thank God she did.
Yeah.
Cause like, that's all I had, you know, she was a prisoner to my addiction, you know, because we take people hostage, you know, and that sucks. You know, she kicked me out and I was like homeless and I was like, I called my grandparents one more time. They're like, all right, come in. And I remembered when I living with this girl and her cousins, there was this one dude that would come over to the house and he wouldn't use. And
wow, that's so funny.
Yeah. And the cousin would always say, hey, he's coming over. Like, don't
do drugs around him.
Yeah. Which was also crazy because like this house is for drugs, by drugs, you know? I got his phone number one time. I was like, oh, you go, like, I kind of knew.
Well, you go to meetings?
Yeah. I'm like, you go to meetings? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, are you okay? I'm like, no, not really. I just came out of the hospital. He's like, hey, just get my number, man. If you want to just talk or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I need your number. Because I knew that I needed help, but I just wasn't ready. And that day that she kicked me out, like I called him. I'm like, hey, I looked in the mirror and it was like, wow. Like I finally saw myself like right there. Like, because I had looked in the mirror before, but
you never see it.
I never see it. It's like you have to see it, that awakening that we see I help a lot of guys too, you know, until they're ready, there's no way, you know, there's no way to see that. Like, I don't know when it's going to happen for you, if it will, unless you die, you know, and then there's no chance, you know? So yeah, it's a very emotional moment that day. Cause he told me how to get to the meeting. And I remember going, and I didn't know what I was doing there. I was just sitting there. I was like, all right, like, I think I belong here because I've already exhausted all my options. Whatever, that guy kept going to that house. And he ended up using and relapsing. He had a couple years. And he ended up losing his kids and his job. And he ended up committing a homicide.
Really?
Yeah. And
he went to prison?
Yeah, he's gone. So I'm just like looking at two sides of the coin. I'm like, wow. He blessed me with the opportunity to help me. But he kept going to old people places and things.
Yeah.
And what
was he doing there? Just like chopping it up, hanging out with people?
Yeah, you hang around the barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut, you know?
Yeah, it seems crazy, but when I got clean, I had nowhere else to really go. I would still hang out with my drug addict friends all the time.
And you're lucky you survived that, you know?
Well, there came a point where I was like, hey, I'll hang out with you, but like I'm not gonna do drugs with you. But then I would like take him to go get like Suboxone, and then like this one time, like my guy wasn't answering the phone, which is like such a reservation because I didn't want to give him the connect either. I had like 6 months clean, but like I was still middlemaning drug deals just to like keep.
Because all you knew is
it's like I was like the only thing I was good at is like I'll be home bored. Probably like, yo, can you get me pills? I'm like, okay, whatever, you know, like I was still doing that for like 6 months. And then I was like, well, I'm not going to get no one pills, but like I'll get my friend Suboxone as if like I was a detox, you know, like I just thought that was helping people, you know.
Definitely.
And one day he was like, fuck this, I'm going to get pills. And that's when I started to realize like this is how people relapse. Because I used to always be like, how do people just get high one day? Like it's crazy. And then I'm like, well, this is how it happens, is being at the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people, places, and things. Like I don't belong here, you know? There's this speaker that I heard once, and she was like, if I was allergic to peanuts, I will not be at a fucking peanut factory, okay?
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, it's the same thing. It's like, you know, you hang out with people that use.
And you made it
like,
out of that.
What are you doing? I finally made a decision.
Reservations are killers for sure. For a lot of
and
addicts.
They go subconscious a lot of times where you don't really think you want to use, but you have your boy that you grew up with. Like, what am I going to do? Stop hanging out with him?
Right. That happens a lot with, I know a lot of people that still know a lot of people from the past or kept those relationships because maybe they went off the deep end, but they didn't like sabotage like some relationships. They kind of like still manage and maybe those people cleaned up. But still, it's like still some sort of thing from the past.
Of course,
there,
and they want to like cling on to it.
Yeah.
It's like texting your ex.
Yeah. It's expired milk.
Yeah,
exactly. You know, that's what it is.
Hey. Shit's expired.
It's expired, dude. But
I think you could drink it the day after.
I think you could drink it. Fuck it. A couple of days. You know, if you mix it with cereal, I think you'd be straight.
Fine,
you know,
almond milk doesn't go bad.
Like I get oat milk now.
That's what I heard.
Yeah,
almond milk's
milk
not
is
good
fire.
anymore. Oat milk's the next
oat milk's
thing. Does it taste like regular milk?
Bro, I don't know. It's probably like a whole. I'm probably just being sold on like expensive milk right now.
It's good. I heard
it's good. There was no part of that in my story. That's for sure. No almond milk. No nothing really. It was just Wendy's dollar menu. Chicken sandwiches was like my thing.
I steal food from Publix.
I had no choice.
Rarely bought food. I lived at my parents' house, so I would just like steal whatever was like eat whatever's in the fridge.
If I wanted to eat, because most of the time I threw it up or something like that. Like my body couldn't take it.
There was a time when I was eating a ketchup sandwich where I literally had 2 pieces of bread and I just put ketchup in the middle. And I remember my mom looking at me like, you're on drugs. Like,
I am. I am, Mom.
like, what's wrong with you, Bryan? Okay, so what happens?
So I'm going to meetings. This dude, he gets arrested later on. Like after I'm still trying to get better.
This time you didn't go to treatment at all. You just started going to meetings.
I started going to meetings and detox on my own. And I remember coming in like November of 2008, and I remember it was the holidays. Yeah. That was the worst. That was like the worst set of holidays of my life because like now I had nothing to fill my body with, and I had to sit at a dinner table with my family, and I had nothing to give them. You know, nothing to give the kids.
It's awkward, man, being around your family when you first get clean, and like everyone's all laughing and like joking or like trying to, and you're just like.
Yeah, because you have no conversation. What is it for you to talk about? Nobody trusts you. You know, they're hiding their purses, their wallets. You stole everything from them. Now you're looking at them in their eyes and you want to talk about baseball.
How you doing? Oh,
like
okay?
Yeah, like there's like I'm not doing well. I'm like why would you think that I'm gonna ask you how you're doing? Because I'm not doing well. Because like hurt people, you know. So like I was miserable, You know, so I just kept going at it. And like for me, the beginning was like, oh wow, like I can actually do this and stay clean and live this life. And I remember getting like a job off of Craigslist. Like it was like this like auto transport broker thing. And then getting that job like on the spot. Like I closed a deal like in an interview and they were like, wow, like we're hiring you. I'm like, well, I don't have a car. This is very far from my house. So like, we'll pick you up. The boss, like the owner of the business, like we'll pick you up every morning.
Wow.
And you just take the bus back. I'm like, all right. You know, I started making money really early on. I started getting confused about what recovery was all about. Like I didn't want to do the work. I thought it was supposed to be about the outside. I was still in my grandparents' house. Like work relationships are like the worst. Like I have like so much experience with that. Like I would never ever get involved, even if it's like I have my own business now. Like even if I have even like someone within a client's like office, like no, like like hell no, like it's not worth it. So she's like, hey, we're all going out to happy hour. And I didn't know about happy hour. Like I remember going to meetings and they're like, we're going to Starbucks.
Yeah.
And like I'm like, what?
What the fuck is
What
Starbucks?
is Starbucks? And like going to Starbucks, I never drink coffee. Like, and I remember going and ordering like mocha, this, that, like all this stuff.
Whatever.
And I remember it was the most disgusting coffee I ever had in my entire life. You know, but I still drank it because I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be a part of. I knew that recovery was something more powerful than me. And I knew I finally was able to hear other people share things that I never heard before. Like, I robbed my grandma. Oh, I stole credit cards. Oh, I robbed an old lady. I hurt my family. I shut the door on them. You know, I made them cry. Like, when I started hearing these stories, I couldn't believe it. You know, I couldn't believe that I was able to relate. The power of relating with people is like unreal.
Especially in South Florida, there's like so many people that like look like us that like are around our age. Like, I didn't need someone to be like 17 like me. I just need, because I didn't use with younger people. I always use with people like, you know, 23, 24, 25, maybe like 30, you know. But like as long as they looked like somebody that I use with, I was like blown away. I was like, I can't believe it. Like I could see myself using with this person and they're talking about like faith and God and like changing their life and they're happy. And you know, I always thought like if I got clean, I would just always be like looking back like, fuck, I want to get high. Or like always like jonesing and just wanting to use, or like just fucking holding some fucking Red Bull at a fucking party, want to blow my brains out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was just like, this is what the fucking life's going to come to, is like, no, I can't drink. I know. It sucks. You know, like I just imagined like recovery just being like a constant reminder that I was a fuck up. Like, that's what I thought recovery was going to be like.
I think a lot of us come in thinking that, you know?
For sure.
Yeah, I think so. Like, oh, this is going to be boring.
The rest of my life.
It could. There are moments of boredom.
Of
I ain't going to
course.
lie. Like, I've had some really bored days last year, you know, and moments.
It
but
does beat getting jumped and arrested.
It does get beat. I do like waking up in the morning, light my incense and reading my book and doing a 10-minute meditation. That does feel pretty good. And then going to the gym and like knowing exactly where my car is parked. I know exactly where I'm going to, you know, what time getting to the, you know, what people I'm going to say hi to the gym, you know, because they know me and they like me. You know, that's like
feels
real life good stuff that happens, you know, like the little small moments that happen in the day that if I remember on a daily basis to be in the moment as much as I possibly can, because that's like my real goal is like to always be moment to moment to moment, you know, be in the now as much as I possibly can, because my head will take me to like places, you know, things that I want or need to be, or I'm not where I need to be, but no one told me I need to be anywhere else. You know, comparing and all that. So that's a slippery slope in recovery, but that's a whole other place. I remember going to happy hour. We went to like a sushi bar, whatever, in downtown Miami, and I was with this girl and all my coworkers. You know, I'm the top sales guy, so I have like this front, you know. I remember buying this like linen shirt, and it was like $250, not for that, but for like a convention. And my sponsor, I get there, I'm like, he's like, why are you running late? I'm getting it right now. I bought like a $300 t-shirt, linen, like 19 years old, and he's like, I get there, he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, nah, I bought this linen shirt, you know. He's like, go return it. And it was just crazy, like the things like I thought were so important, you know, at that time. So I went out to happy hour, and I had never eaten sushi. I never had sushi before, so I never knew how to how to use chopsticks. And this was before like YouTube was like available on your phone in a heartbeat, you know, where I learned shit like on the fly.
I mean, most people have eaten sushi by 19.
Well, that's another thing. Yeah. So, but I went and I didn't know how to ask for help. And I didn't know that like, they can give you like training chopsticks. You know? Like, I didn't know how to speak up for myself because I didn't know who I was. And I was scared that if you found out who I was still, that you would make fun of me. And here I am, a failure again. Even though I was a top sales guy, you're going to look at me like, oh, you don't know how to eat sushi? How was I going to deal with that? Like,
rejection.
It was so small, but it was so huge in my recovery.
Yeah, when you first get clean, like any little thing, like, you know, I got clean in high school. So, like, dude, I would be like, well, who am I going to sit with at lunch?
Yeah.
Like, I had no friends.
It's crazy. Yeah.
I remember just being like, I'm just going to sit by myself.
So you went through a lot of, like, uncomfortable...
weird things, like the first day of school. Like, it's just
How
like...
How was that?
horrible, you know? It's like, you know, I have like 6 months clean. I'm like finally going back to high school. I haven't been to high school in like a year because I got kicked out the year before. The year before that, I also got kicked out.
Where you been, Bryan? Like,
yeah, bro. People were just like, oh. And then like there's all these rumors about me that are like kind of true. People are just looking at me like, holy shit. Like I heard this kid was like on crack and like robbing people and like all sorts of shit. Like, it sucked.
Yeah,
know?
You had like that.
But like you just have to like stay clean. Like all you do is stay clean, and you go through uncomfortable situations, and you go through more uncomfortable situations, and then eventually you kind of get a little more comfortable. And like the first time you tell someone you're in recovery, it's like horrible.
Yeah, you're just like super uncomfortable.
You like overshare too much.
Yeah, or maybe you don't share nothing. I'm in recovery. What? Yeah. Drug addiction. What?
Crack.
Yeah. It's what you said about those uncomfortable feelings. I think for anybody in recovery, like trying to get to like the next stage, you have to go through uncomfortable feelings. Like you can't run from them. Like they have to happen.
They have to happen.
They have to happen.
For sure.
Like that uncomfortable feeling at that sushi restaurant, I ended up relapsing.
You relapsed at the restaurant?
I relapsed there.
At the restaurant?
At the restaurant. Ended up having a drink. Ended up in the hospital on Monday.
Wow.
On a 3-day run. And then that caused a relapse effect, you know, where I was in and out.
Still working at the sales job?
Still working there, but now I'm miserable. Now I'm spiritually bankrupt. Now, whatever I gained early on in recovery was gone. So that same person walking into the door and trying to be that guy wasn't him anymore. That the charm that I was bringing and the swag, the talking, like was gone because I was spiritually bankrupt. I was miserable. I was depressed again. So then that was a slippery slope. That was like the end, like a whole year of back and forth, of relapsing, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Yeah, you know, and then like February 24th, I was like, okay, I got what we call the gift, and the gift of surrender and desperation, you know, and that gift of surrender is unreal, man.
Of course.
Anybody that gets it, their lives just change forever because they finally like get to recognize that this is it. Like I can't do it anymore. I can't win at this. I'm not productive. I'm not a good person. But it comes like from your heart, not from your head anymore. It's like, I'll do whatever it takes to not be that person anime. When that comes in, like when you have that, I don't know how to, I can't package it up and sell it. You can't either, like, you know, you deal with a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people come and go.
Yeah, because they always have like that resistance and that justification and this and that. And if you weren't like that, but like, you know, you see people just like let their guard down.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I remember when I was in detox, they were like, we think you should go to treatment. And I was like, I don't want to go. And they're like, what if we said you had to go? I was like, I guess I would go then. You know? And like, that was the point where I was just like, that was my first time being like, you know,
surrendering.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. I think without surrender, there's no like
every spirituality book you read is every spiritual teaching is based in surrender.
Yeah.
And people don't realize like the power in it. Because there's so much power in it, but it doesn't. It's like, how is there power in surrendering? You know,
it's a gift, bro.
But it's like you ever see someone try to do something that they just don't know how to do, and you're just like, bro, just let me show you how. You're like, no, I got it.
Yeah.
And you're just like, dude, you're just not even in the right direction.
Yeah.
Like, let me just show you how to do it. It's like, no, I'm gonna do it, and like they fucking break it or they fuck it all up or whatever. You know, it's something that needs to be like finessed.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, it's not about being strong.
It's not about ego. You know,
just
like
have to know how to do it.
Yeah.
Let me just show you.
Then
and
once you do it, like, you can do it for other people.
Oh no, I got it. And you're just like,
and that goes for everything. That's definitely a good visual there. You know, to like, I think in the beginning,
because we always try to like aggressively overpower the situation and force the situation or whatever. But like a lot of times in life, like in in recovery, it's like the easier, softer way to do it. And you just got to like look at someone else, how they did it. You know, it's not about being the strongest person or even the smartest. There's people that are like really dumb, like stay clean.
Yeah.
And there's people really smart who
can't
smoking crack right now.
Yeah,
you know?
that can't get it because they can still hold
They're
the job.
too smart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're too smart for
Too
it.
smart.
You know, they have the I know.
No,
Oh,
man,
I know, but you don't know. But you don't know. But what do you mean? Like, why? You know, I get those
Just
questions.
like 75 hard.
Yeah, I was just like, yo, you know, it is what it is. That's for me, man. That's how my journey started.
So then you finally surrendered. You went back to meetings. You started to stay clean.
I started doing everything they told me to do, you know, and I started getting involved in every uncomfortable situation I could possibly get, you know, involved in. Like sitting at dinner tables with people that were successful or had some time clean, and they sat at a table, and I just was like the only one there, like struggling, and just sitting to try to be a part of, you know, and I just didn't talk, you know, I just like stayed quiet and listened, you know, and I opened up my heart to that possibility that could be me, you know, and then that's where it started to, you know, started to take off for me.
What happened like in the next like couple years clean? Like how has like, you know, life turned out for you?
The huge one big part, like after I had like 9 months or like 7-8 months clean, but like really clean, like really doing it.
Working the steps, having a sponsor,
having
going
a sponsor,
to a ton of
like
meetings.
meetings, service, being involved, helping out, like families getting back into my life. A friend of mine was like, hey, I have a job opportunity for you at this corporate company down south. And he's like, it's a huge company. I don't know if I can get you in, but like you can like do the work to get there. Like a good addict, I studied the company, went in for my first interview. I didn't even have a suit. I had to borrow it from someone else. I would never wear that suit again. That was like terribly fitted on me. You know, I got that job and I remember they were going to pay for my licensing. I had to take a class with like a whole other group of employees. And like, it was like a big thing in my head. We all did this course, like 3 weeks. We went to take the test and I failed. I was the only one that failed.
Wow.
Out of everyone. I failed by 1 point. It was a state exam. I had to go to like this facility and like hide in a room and shit. It was like freaking crazy. I failed it. And I remember I wanted to use because I was like, what's the point? You know, like I'm here. I've let my friend down. There's no way. If I can't pass this, what makes you think I'm going to pass other things in my life? You know, it didn't make sense to me at that point. My sponsor was like, you got to just go back to the office and like sit with your manager, your boss, and like they'll know you failed and just work it out. Show up. Just show up. The rest will take care of itself. Just be yourself and show up. And my record had popped up, my juvenile record, because this was a state exam. It was like a lot of stuff to do with like insurance and so forth. So I already had to have that discussion with my boss about why I had
charges,
Grand Theft Auto, why did I have domestic battery charges, why did I have possession charges? Like I was like, look, here are all my references because I had people in recovery willing to help me out and have everything documented that this has all been taken care of. And so I had to sit down with her and she's like, I'm going to give you one more opportunity to take the test because I want you to work here. And that's what she told me to my face. Like, I think with anybody else, I don't think that would have happened. Like, I think just because I came in honestly and like came from my heart, she gave me the opportunity. So I had to sit around for another 2 weeks before I could take the test because the state doesn't let you take the exam.
Back to back.
Yeah. So I had to wait with the other employees for like 2 weeks, like just watching them work. And I mean, just sitting there being super humbled, like just like, damn, this is crazy. And I remember I passed that test and I just became like their go-to at that job.
That's cool.
And like the trainer happened to be in recovery.
Oh, that's cool.
That she helped me more than anyone else in that whole class. She just had something with me. She just like, I know you can do it. Just like give, you know, let go and let God. She had like these little sayings on the wall. I'm like, this is weird. But I didn't know better. And I ran into her like 4 or 5 years later at a meeting. She's like, she's like, I knew there's something special about you.
Wow,
you know?
that's
And
dope.
that was like a real cool moment that I got to share. But yeah, man, you know, things started to happen. You know, my grandma started to get sick. Then I was able to go skydiving and I started doing all these things that I never thought was possible.
I think I had a year clean before I was like, wait, I can do stuff. It didn't even occur to me that I was free. It's like when like you're in a prison and like someone opens the door and like you just don't leave right away because you just, you know, it's like I didn't understand that, like, because, you know, when you first get clean, you're like, well, I always had this reservation, like, well, what if I use, or like, what if I'm probably not going to stay. I wouldn't plan things because I couldn't even imagine the next month maybe I would be using or something. Like could only see today and like maybe a couple of days or maybe next week, but I really couldn't plan anything. And then I think after a year, I was like, well, if I want to do something, I can just save money and then ask people if they want to go, and then we can like go together. And I think like the first thing I did was like I went to Orlando. And
yeah, it was like, amazing.
And I went to like the theme parks or like Disney or some shit, like Islands of Adventure. We were all clean and in recovery.
I think that was my first trip, like Islands for real. Adventure? Like it was like Islands of Adventure with like a group of like 20 people
in recovery.
Yeah. We all just taking off.
Cool, and it was just like when I was using, we'd be like fucked up, being like, we should go to Islands of Adventure.
Yeah. You run out of money and you're like, yeah, I can't go anymore.
And then like, it would never happen, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's like when you're clean, like, you know, you would go and then like I would have this idea that like something bad was going to happen. Like I always felt like that. Like I'm going to get arrested doing something dumb, or like I'm going to like crash the car up there, or I'm going to like something's going to happen, and like nothing bad happened.
Yeah, you came back home.
Yeah, it was like fine. Like I started to get confidence. And I remember like the first time I went skydiving, I went with like a bunch of people in recovery. It was like for my 3 years. And I started doing something fun from like my 2 years, my 3 years.
Yeah. You started celebrating. Yeah. Celebrating life.
Yeah.
You know, you're
like,
celebrating life.
I don't celebrate my birthday, but like on my clean day, I started to like, I went skydiving. I went on Islands of Adventure. I went snowboarding. I went on a cruise.
I did snowboarding too.
Yeah.
I actually broke my wrist on my clean date with my best friend
so
we booked a trip randomly. It was, I think, for
Your clean date's when?
February 24th.
Wow, mine's March 23rd.
Yeah. So we booked a trip like 3 days before for my anniversary, just me and him, and we went to like upstate New York by Buffalo. I don't know why. I had no idea.
Yeah.
But we went up there and I went snowboarding for my, you know, it was just like, you can do this.
It feels good to like be out in the world.
And like, it's amazing to have other people on this journey with you. Like for me, it's like, it's unreal. Like when I have like the friends that I have today since I got clean. It's like, what? Yeah. Like we have so many stories. They're like my brothers. They're not even recovery friends. Like these are my brothers.
Yeah,
like
family.
Yeah, it's family. I know their family. They know mine. I go over their house. I can just walk in and just grab something from their fridge.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that's...
Yeah, when you get clean with someone, it almost is like growing up with them.
Yeah.
Like when you get clean with someone, there's such a trauma bond that forms because you're at such a horrible place in your life.
Yeah.
I might not see someone for years, and I'm like, bro, we got clean together. Like that's like my family.
Yeah,
like
it's so important.
So
that beginning is so important.
Yeah,
and that's why people don't understand that relapse is so crazy because you can be in that group doing this thing together, and then you just relapse and you fall off, and when you come back, it's not the same. Because you're spiritually bankrupt. You lost that bond, that thing that you can share. Not to say that you're not accepted. It's different. It's just different, and then it's so hard for them to get it again, and then they just keep going and keep going.
Yeah. I always tell people, I'm like, dude, don't miss that window of opportunity, man.
Yeah.
Don't think you're gonna get clean again. I remember this guy Steve used to tell me, he was like, bro, I was clean he told me, he's like, I was clean for 6 years, and then I was gonna go have one drink, and that one drink turned into me using for 6 years.
That's crazy.
So then when he came back, all of his friends with 6 years clean now had 12 years clean. And he was like, the first time I got clean, laughing and joking, and I had all these friends. He's like, the second time I got clean,
none of that. It was like very...
He's like, it wasn't the same.
But it wasn't the same.
And then I would just compare it to last time, and it wasn't the same. And he was just like, he's like, I'm grateful he stayed clean. I'm grateful I'm clean now. It was never like the first time. And he would just say that, like, because he was older than me, and he would say, like, dude, you're young. And he was like, if you were an addict and he's like, if you weren't an addict, you could pick when you use and when you get clean. And he would tell me, he's like, because you're an addict, you're not in charge of when you pick up and when you put it down, or when you put it down. You're only in charge of when you pick it up. You don't know how long you're going to be using for if you do use.
That's true.
You think you're going to go use and come right back.
But that doesn't, like, you never know.
You have no idea what could happen. He's like, you wouldn't be here if you could pick when you're going to stop. And that's when I remember looking at him like, this guy has wisdom. Like, this guy has knowledge. And like, there was just something about him where you could tell he had been through so much.
And
he wasn't trying to sell me a book. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he wasn't trying to, like, in a manipulative way.
He was sharing his experience.
He was just like, bro, I really want to save you from like
misery,
doing this the wrong way.
Right.
It was literally like the same analogy. Like, let me just show you how to do it. So you don't like fuck your whole life up trying to figure it out, because I did.
Yeah, I had a similar story. Like I had someone that was working with me, and the dude had everything, man. Like he was an older guy. He had like 12 years clean or something like that. And money and property and procedures took him to like a whole other level. And he lost everything to like the IRS, and his whole life just went to shambles. And then he ended up using. And he ended up coming back. Now he has a couple years, but like he just tells me, he's like, listen, just remember why you're here and the moments you get to share with people, because that's what matters the most, you know. And like that, it's all those little things. Like I guess I'm grateful, just like probably you are, that I've been able to stay open enough to hear my predecessors and like people older than me that have done it longer than me tell me these things, you know. Like if you treat people good, people are going to treat you good, you know. Like certain things that stay stuck in my head, you know, just like, hey, if you just do the right thing, if you have integrity, good shit's going to start to happen, and people are going to respect you. Like there's a lot of people that don't know me, and there's a lot of people that do know me, but don't have any issues with anybody. Like I keep it clean. Like I don't want no drama. Like I don't like, I want to go to sleep at night. I want to chill. Like if I have a little conflict, I'll solve it right there. Like I'll figure it out, you know. That's all a learning thing. I had to go through all those challenges in the beginning, you know, for sure.
There was this guy when I first got clean, and like when he said this, it made so much sense because I felt like using all the time, and I dreamed about using, and I fantasized about using. And I had never shot up before, and I was just like, I need to shoot up. Like, you know, I've smoked crack.
To be a part of.
Yeah, like, I need to have a cooler war story, you know. I like, you know, maybe I felt like I need to get it out of my system. Like I need to use more so that I could come back, and then I'll get clean. I don't think I'm ready to get clean because I think about using nonstop all the time. I dream about it. I wake up in the sweats, and like, it was not going away. 6, 7, 8 months clean, I'm just dreaming about getting high all the time and fantasizing, romanticizing about using. And I'll never forget this guy said, it's better to be clean, thinking about using, than to be using, thinking about getting clean. And when he said that, I was like, damn, because I remember using, dreaming about getting clean. I remember being on drugs, and I would see like this guy, like, he'd be going to like LA Fitness, and he had like his little gym bag, and like he was probably had a gym bag because he's like gonna go to work after the gym. He had like a, you know, pretty nice car, and I remember being like, man, imagine like being clean where you have like gym clothes and you have like your work clothes, and you wake up in the morning, you like are excited about the morning, you like drink a protein shake, go to your car, and then go to your job. Like that just seemed like a dream.
That was actually what I did in the beginning. We wake up at 5 a.m., go to the gym, shower there, and I was so excited. Now I'm like, damn.
It felt so cool.
Now 6 a.m.s now are like, damn, bro, this is crazy.
I remember the first time I bought gym clothes that I always wanted. Like, gym clothes is expensive.
Yeah.
And, like, I always loved working out, but, like, I'd work out in, like, boxers and shorts. You know what I mean? Like, maybe, like, a pair of basketball shorts. But I wouldn't have, like, compression shorts. I wouldn't have, like, a Nike T-shirt. You know what I mean?
It felt good. It feels good.
It felt good to be, like...
To look good, too.
I got, like, 15 Nike compression shorts. I got like 15 basketball shorts, and I got like 15 Under Armour Nike shirts or whatever. And it just felt good that to make an investment and have something for a while, because when you're using, like, even if I did buy something, it was like gone and sold.
Yeah, it didn't matter. And like it's also like the consistency part to it. Like knowing that you have a gym bag and you're setting up the day before. You're setting up your protein shake in the morning. Like it's like, all right, I got everything in line. Perfect. My phone's charged. I got my headphones.
You're like planning the day.
I got my belt. Or I'm gonna wear this shirt tomorrow. I got my cologne. Boom. All right, I'm gonna hit it. They get to work. Like, hey, what you been up to? Oh, I just came from the gym. Just had my protein shake. Had my breakfast. The lady at the cafeteria knows me because I come every freaking time and say what's up and tip her well. You know, it's like those little things that happen are like blessings, you know, and I don't take those for granted.
I remember the first time I said good morning to someone in the morning. So like my whole life, I just had like this idea of like, don't talk to nobody, you know? Like, mean mug everybody.
I still have those moments now, though. You know, I've had those moments.
Sometimes I'm
like, oh, man. Because I know, like, some conversations going to be like 30 minutes. You know?
Of course. Like, you don't want to start it.
Here we go.
But I remember the first time I saw someone, I was like, good morning. And I was like, wow, it feels good to be like, hey, good morning. Like, a total stranger, like, I'm jogging and they're jogging. They'd be like, good morning. And, like, I'd be in an elevator. I'd be like, hey, how you doing? Like, I just would like think like, who the fuck does that?
Yeah.
Who the fuck says hello to people?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. That's...
Or like feeling like that was like nerdy. Like I remember like growing up so fucked up that like I used to think like people who were like happy in the morning were like geeks.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you're Herb.
That, or someone that talks to their neighbors or something like that. Like I was like, my neighbors hated me for such a long time, and when I got clean, Hector, my front neighbor, bro, we became close,
Super
bro.
close,
We're
yeah.
like talking about sports from the other street. Yo, we saw the game, man. Talk about this, talk about that. I'll go over and ask him, hey, can you look out for my grandma and make sure she's okay?
That's cool.
Call me if anything. Hit me up. You know, and I still passed. My grandparents passed in the last like couple years.
Wow.
I took care of. That's a whole other thing, a blessing. Like I was given the opportunity to look out for my grandma with dementia, which is Alzheimer's. Circumstances of new jobs, whatever, put me back into her house. You know, I had to change her diapers, clean her, pills, trying to find a helper, not being able to afford that. You know, just like trying to maneuver that until like 3 years ago. This whole tattoo is dedicated to her. So yeah, she was like my angel because I spent like every New Year's with her when I was clean. I was excited to be with her on New Year's watching the New York, you know, a little thing on TV because that's all they ever did, you know, was watch that. And I was just like sit with her clean. Like I didn't need to be anywhere else. Like this was it.
I didn't need to be at Ultra.
No, like I was cool. This was it, you know. And then when it was done, I'll go to the 24-hour room or something like that, or to like a little event, sobriety event, and hang out there for a little bit, you know. But you know, you start to realize a lot of things that do matter and don't matter anymore. Yeah. Like peace of mind and mental health for me is like top priority right now.
And like, you know, when I was growing up, it's like I spent so much time like trying to impress people that don't give a fuck about me, that
Nobody
don't
cares.
even remember me, that's like whatever. And it's like, bro, the people who love me the most, whatever.
Yeah.
Who cares? I'm not hanging out with my mom. Like, that's lame.
My mentors always says, man, like love the ones you're with, you know, as much as you can, because time is so sensitive, man.
Yeah.
Like you're here one day, gone the next. It could be a car accident, it could be anything, you know. It's like, what did I hear one day? It's like, I don't want to be successful, I want to be significant, you know? Like I want to provide that. Like what is it that I leave my legacy with other people? Like how significant was I in someone's relationship?
For
like
sure.
if I was to die, like no one's going to talk about, yo, he went back to school.
Yeah.
Like he started a business. Like, wow, he traveled. Like, dude helped me a lot. You know, he listened to me for hours.
Yeah, you want to impact people.
I want to impact
you want to
people.
leave something behind that people can be like, yo, because this one guy did X, Y, and Z, now we have this.
Yeah.
You know?
And I know you can't make everybody happy. That's just not
it feels
the
good
world
that you did something.
Yeah, as long as you could be impactful, you know, like in some sort of way. Like when my nephew tells my sister, I want to be like my uncle when I grow up. Like that shit's crazy, bro.
Feels
like
good.
that shit is unreal. Like there's no money that could buy that shit. Like there's nothing.
No drug.
There's no deal I can make with a client. There's nothing. Like when I hear those words from my sister saying, and then my sister responding to him saying, yes, you should be like your uncle.
Yeah.
Like he could be Spider-Man, Iron Man. He could be anybody else, but he wants to be like me. Like how did I get here?
Yeah, one of my like epiphany moments was when I had 3 years clean. My best friend Carl was at my house, and it was for Christmas. And my boy Carl is tatted up into prison, tough guy, you know. And he's asking. I left to go to my room for something, and when I came back, he was crying at the table with my mom. My mom was laughing, and I was like, "What's going on?" And he's like, your mom just said the most beautiful thing. He said, I asked your mom what she wants for Christmas, and she said, I got my Christmas present 3 years ago, and my son got clean. And he was like, my mom's an alcoholic, and like she's using, and like my mom could never articulate something like that. That's when I realized like I had won the lottery. Like literally, I feel
it's
like
something so powerful. Yeah.
And like at 3 years clean, like dude, I folded clothes at the mall. I lived at my parents' house. I was like dead broke, but I was like such on a high. Nothing could beat that. I had cheated death multiple times and accomplished something that was a dream to me.
Yeah.
Just being clean. My mom saying that was like out of this world to me.
Oh, my mom sends people to me all the time. Like, hey, can you help this girl at the salon? They'll call me and I'll talk to them. They're like struggling and so forth. Like my mom like talks about my story to everybody.
Yeah,
you know,
so do my
she's
parents.
like,
It's so cool.
she shows them all my stuff and like this is him. She's like, she always has like a date set up for me somehow, you know.
Some girl.
Yeah, I'm like, mom, like, yo, it's like I get it. You don't have to talk about this to everybody, you know. But like what we do really matters.
Yeah.
Like when we're
it
clean,
makes an impact.
you know.
Yeah.
But it's also doing the work. Because the shit doesn't just happen
Not from abstinence.
by just chilling.
For sure.
I've seen a lot of people chill and they end up chilling out there for too long. And they ended up in prison and they end up in jail. And you can't share those moments like you had in your mom because if you didn't do the work for 3 years, you wouldn't be in that position where you had Carl over at that moment, sharing that moment together, all three that made that bond even stronger between you and Carl, because like when my grandma passed, like I had all the spiritual awakenings and all that happening to me, you know, I got to tell my best friend, and we were both crying in a parking lot, you know, talking about this, like, this dude doesn't need to cry for this situation, but he got to share that heart to heart with me because, you know, the struggle that I went through. So he was able, that my pain was his pain, you know, and you only get those relationships by building that spiritually, you know. You can do crazy shit together, but at the end of the day, when you have like that look, you know, with your friends that you've built this relationship with in recovery, you've grown with, it's like, wow, like this is cool, you know, I got to share this.
When I first got clean, like Carl really helped me out. He was like my first running partner in recovery. Like he had multiple years clean. He was cool. We were like best friends. Really, I don't know if I would be clean without him, you know? After like a year, 2 years clean, like we really held each other down. When his sister passed away, I remember being at the funeral and like holding his mom, and his mom was like trying to jump in like the casket. It was like horrible. And I remember like holding his mom, hugging his mom, and he was like over there crying. And I remember like looking at him and being like, wow, like how did God know that like we would need each other? Because like 12 years later, we're there for each other, even at this point in time, you know?
It's amazing.
And it's like only through recovery that like stuff like that is possible.
Only.
You know? Because it's like when you get clean, you just think about yourself. You don't think that you're going to like impact somebody and they're going to impact you. And like years later, you guys are going to like have a bond that's going to impact other people, you know?
Yeah. And it just like continues to grow. Like there's always like little moments that like I get to share with people that are like, oh, I remember when you told me this and you helped me through this situation.
Yeah.
Or, you know, and I start thinking like, damn, like I said that, like I helped you, man. Like you sure, like you really sure that you stayed clean because of me that one moment. You
Off
know?
the podcast, bro. People are like, bro, I listen to How Has an Exit. I got clean. I know this girl. I used to like hook up with this girl, bro. I never thought she really had a problem. She was like, yo, I listened to your podcast. I stopped drinking. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, I don't drink no more. I was like, get out of here. She's like,
75 hard?
75 hard. She's
well,
like,
actually, 75 hard. One of them is
not drinking. Yeah, so one of the things with 75 hard is that you can't drink alcohol.
You can't drink. I'm like, bro, I don't even think about that one. It's already done.
Yeah, that one's so easy.
That's so done.
Yeah, but that's
one
funny.
of my boys that's not in recovery. I tried pitching him the 75 hard. He's like, bro, I can't, bro.
Not drinking, bro. Yeah,
and that's also another thing, yo. I have relationships with people that I've worked with that are like solid. Like we say we love each other, like on the phone. Like I opened up that door for that opportunity, like to talk about. And I have friends that their history is that they have families like in addiction, or you know they've dealt with their own mental illness. You know, and we're like we talk every day, and these people are not even in recovery. Like I don't have,
cool.
like I don't tell them to come to a meeting, and I'm like just like, yo, what's up? Like we talk and hang out and go to lunch. They know to respect me. You know what I'm saying? They know not to invite me to like a nighttime gathering or something like that I'm not going to feel comfortable at. You know what I mean? That's like another thing that happens over time. You just can't expect that to just happen one day to the next. So you have to build that confidence you talked about. You have to build that integrity. You have to build that honesty with yourself.
And like to get a friend, you got to be a friend.
Yeah. You have to learn to be a friend.
When I first got clean, like one of my main things, like I needed friends. I don't have any friends. I felt so alone all the time. I just wanted friends. And like I had no ideas. It's like, bro, I've been a shitty friend for 10 years. Like, I don't know how to be a friend. And honestly, through sponsorship, it's like my first relationship with a dude.
Yeah.
Where I was like, because I would be like, man, he does this or he doesn't do that. Or like, I would judge my sponsor.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I don't pay this motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, what am I
when my sponsee's like, oh, you haven't answered my call in 2 days. I'm like, so what? Call somebody else. Like, I don't get paid for this, bro. Like, dude, I'm going through shit in my head.
I'm my
like,
own dude.
Bro, I'm going through it. You know, let me be.
It really takes being a sponsor to understand what it's like.
But I tell my sponsees straight up, like, yo, like, listen, bro, like, I am no bigger or less than you. Like, yo, just
my sponsees know I'm more fucked up to them.
Yeah, I tell them, I straight up tell them, like, yo, like when they tell me like some crazy shit, like they're going through, I'm like, well, was she hot?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
They're like, what? You're supposed to say no. I'm like, well, no. I'm just like, do you have a picture? Like,
should have killed them.
You know, should have said something.
For sure.
But yeah, man, that's the journey that we're on, man. That's
absolutely. I appreciate you coming on the show,
man.
dude.
Thank you.
I know it's a long drive.
It's worth it, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. It's an honor and a privilege to be here.
Let me know when you get back on 75 Hard. Hopefully in 75
February
days.
1st.
February 1st. That's when you get back on it?
Yeah, so you already be 30 days in. Well, you'll be like 20-something days.
God willing.
Yeah, so.
Cool.
You will.
Thank you.
All right, brother.
Appreciate it, bro.
Yes, sir.
This show is not affiliated with any specific 12-step program. If you or a loved one is struggling with an addiction, please find a local 12-step meeting. If you believe you may need detox or drug treatment of any kind, please call 833-999-1877 to speak to a specialist. The show is sponsored by United Recovery Project, a state-of-the-art drug and alcohol rehab facility. You can visit our website at unitedrecoveryproject.com.